All right, guys, I am back. 49ers reporter here. Um, just going to go ahead and go over position groups as we are basically heading into training camp July 26th. So, right now, everybody's off. Everybody has their time to kind of go back and do what they need to do, get their relaxation on, chill, go see some places, whatever they want to do as far as the team's concerned. July 26th, everybody's got to be there because we got to get training camp started. And we got to do what we got to do. And I have some great news in regards to training camp. But what I'm going to do right now is just break down our position groups. So I'm going to start on offense today. I'll hit you guys with defense tomorrow. As far as offense, we're going to go through everybody. I'll probably break it up into several videos, squeeze probably the QBs and the running backs into one. Go ahead and do another one with the linemen and the wide receivers. Might be able to squeeze the tight ends in on this one too. So I'm gonna be hitting y'all with some stats and just some numbers and figures and just some, personal opinions on what I see. So obviously QB number one, Jimmy Garoppolo, 6'2", 225. College was East Illinois. Originally drafted by the New England Patriots to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady, until Tom Brady said, fuck that. That's what we're not about to do. And they shipped him off to us. Rumored before he actually came to us that Cleveland had been trying to get a hold of Garoppolo for years. But in the process of Tom Brady not wanting Garoppolo there because he didn't want him breathing down his neck because he knew Garoppolo would basically come in and take his job at some point, and he wanted to play like he is forever. The initial thing was they didn't want to send Garoppolo somewhere where they felt he would be losing. They felt like they wanted to pair him with a good coach and GM who could provide him some stability. It's like you don't want to ship him off and then just say, fuck it, go wherever and lose and, go to a team and suck. So, basically for Jimmy Garoppolo, for his career, he has 236 completions out of 361 attempts. It's 65.4 completion rate. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Don't even trip off that. And 2,968 yards. He averages 8.2 yards per pass. He has 17 TDs and 8 interceptions. So it's like 50-50 to an extent. Basically, he'd throw a touchdown, he might throw an interception. And these are just stats, so people don't get upset. I'm just reading stats. I got a lot of people who get kind of touchy when I go in on Garoppolo. His longest ball he's ever thrown was 61 yards. So basically, the last couple of games that we have on him, honestly, would be those last few games that he played last year, which was 3. So I think overall, to be honest with you, I think Jimmy Garoppolo's got at least like a good 8-9 games on tape. That's not even a full season. That's barely half of a season. For us to be able to truly evaluate who he is. So who is Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy Garoppolo is basically a conundrum at this point. We don't know. He's an enigma because we haven't seen him for a full season. When he played in New England, the only reason he was actually starting was because Brady was suspended for 4 games. So basically what happened was Jimmy played, one game, and then he played half of another game, got injured, Brissett finished out the rest, and then Brady was back, so there was no need for him to get on the field. But as far as what we saw, year before last, we were very excited because he came in, he went on that tear, we won all those games, we beat a couple of playoff teams, even though people downplayed it because they were like, oh, they're in the playoffs, you're not going to play their starters. To me, that was a crock of shit. He still came in and did his fucking job. He did what he could. And he did everything, on the fly. Not having very much time to learn the offense. None of that. But then last year, he tried to be a running back. Spun towards ACL. By all accounts from this offseason, what I can tell you guys is he looks fantastic. Everybody's raving about him. Everybody says he looks great. Shanahan says he looks great. Teammates say he looks good. So I have no worries about Mr. Garoppolo this year. Let's just hope that he can stay healthy for a full season. Give us a full season. And we got to go to the playoffs. I'll talk about that when I talk about this coaching staff too. So next up on the line, we are going to talk about Mr. C.J. Beathard. Now, CJ came in and he did an admirable job, when we first drafted him after Brian Hoyer just stuck up the joint and we just kept losing game after game after game. He came in and he gave us that 1W against the Giants to kind of lift the Niner Nation up. And then he went right back to losing. So a lot of people like to give CJ Beathard the benefit of the doubt. I don't. I'm sorry. Period. Point blank. It's about production, bro. And if you ain't producing, you ain't on the field. This is the NFL. You don't get that. Those are luxuries you enjoy in like high school and college and like Pop Warner. Because they allow you to try to progress. But in the NFL, you either doing it or you're not. So for CJ Beathard, his career stats are 225 completions out of 393. So that's 57.3%. He has 2,682 yards. He averages 6.8 yards per pass. He has 12 TDs and 13 interceptions. So his interception touchdown ratio is off. He's almost at half, so you can't really say much about that. As long as his pass was 83 yards. So with CJ Beathard, the issue that I have with him is very simple. I like him, but he processes things too slow, and he looks scared when he's on the field. I feel like he doesn't take it. It doesn't come to him. Like something doesn't click. You have to have that it factor. You have to know what's happening. You have to be able to make decisions in a split second. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to last in this league. And that's his problem. He doesn't process the game fast enough. He'll take a sack. He'll wind up holding the ball too long. Something will go wrong. I know that there were lots of times when he was playing where, the offensive line wasn't doing its greatest. But at the same time, you got to make do with what you got. Look at Barry Sanders. He had one offensive lineman that went to the Pro Bowl his whole career in Detroit. And Barry Sanders was something special. I'm not by any means comparing Barry Sanders to CJ Beathard because there is no comparison. They obviously shouldn't be mentioned in the same sentence, so I apologize to anybody who's a Barry Sanders fan. I feel like he's the greatest running back ever. I don't care. Fuck Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith had a damn line in front of him. Barry did it with nothing. So, but CJ Beathard just doesn't process the game like he should. He needs to be able to do that and do it correctly. So, unfortunately, the backup battle is what everybody's talking about. Everybody's saying, who's it going to be, Mullins or Beathard? And should we trade one of these guys to be able to get something for him? The only guy out of those two that we're going to be able to trade and get any value for is Nick Mullins. We might be able to get a 4th or 5th round pick for him, and that's a might. And that's just because he had a small sample size. He showed that he has the abilities. He doesn't have a great arm, but, he showed he has the abilities to lead a team, and he did do some good things for us. But then at the same time, if you want to trade CJ Beathard, what you going to get, 6th, maybe a 7th round pick? You ain't going to get much for him because people are going to look and go, this guy can't finish it. He can't get it done. So, period, point blank, let's move on to Mr. Nick Mullins. So, Nick Mullins is our guy that led us down a stretch. Pretty much, if you are looking at Nick Mullins has 176 total completions out of 274, 64.2%. Pretty good. Pretty close to Jimmy, too. 2,277 yards, 8.3 yard average, right there with Jimmy. He's 13-10. So he's got a little bit of leeway on his touchdown interception ratio, but not much. So basically, it's just a situation where for him, we have to make sure that
Matthew Berry here from the Senate Fantasy Show on ESPN.
What we do with him is we're very careful. I like Nick Mullins, and I feel like Nick Mullins does what he has to do. I don't feel like there is any reason for Nick Mullins to not be our backup quarterback. I feel like if Jimmy G goes down, Nick Mullins gives us the best chance to win. So we should be able to praise him for that and go ahead and allow him to do what he's supposed to do. There is no reason why we shouldn't, let him in and let him do what he was supposed to do. He brought us to our first win over Seattle in God knows how long. I don't even remember how long it's been since we lost to Seattle. They whoop our ass at home. They whoop our ass in their house. So we always wind up losing to them, but we finally broke that streak. So we're hoping that Jimmy can get the ball rolling to do that. But to me, honestly, period, point blank, there's not much to say about Nick Mullins. But he should be the backup, period, point blank. And if somebody has a standing case for C.J. Beathard, by all means, hit me in the comments and let me know what you're thinking and what's going on in your brain. Because if you didn't see Nick Mullins versus what C.J. Beathard did, maybe you want to go back and, YouTube some of the games last year. Mullins was out there spinning the ball. Y'all forget his first game, it was against the Raiders, albeit it was against the Raiders. And they sucked something awful last year. But either way, he still came out and balled out. Those are NFL players, regardless. So I feel like Nick should win the backup job, and we should either put CJ back on the practice squad and or we need to go ahead and just relegate the dude to the, trade him. Get him up out of there. Sorry. So Jimmy Garoppolo 1, Nick Mullins 2, Beathard is practice squad or bye-bye. So that's all I had to really say about the quarterbacks. We do have another guy, Wilton Speight, drafted him out of UCLA. That's my college team. Wilton Speight is there just to hold people's towels and get people Gatorade. He ain't going to do nothing, and he ain't about to do nothing special. If we get rid of C.J. Beathard, Wilton Speight will most likely make it to the practice squad. So he can tell people I made it to the 49ers practice squad. Speight has no chance in hell of even competing for the backup spot unless Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard have a freak of nature action and both go down, which I don't see happening. But that's all for the quarterbacks. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next video with the running backs. Post this one. Be right back with y'all.